Hello, I'm Tommy Review of Pokemon Horizons, episode 90 and 91. So this feels very different from the rest of the series off the bat, with Roy and his Pokemon out investigating with Dot and support. This very much serves the reintroduction to the series as Roy is introducing himself, and while something I immediately like is how he has most of his team out, the main problem I've kind of always had with Horizons is how Killer Watchful and the other secondary Pokemon fell to a wayside, but here it is out with Crocodile and Cat alongside it. Anyway, as Roy's doing his introduction, he reaffirms his goal to meet Rayquaza, so it's nice that in the year hasn't fallen to the side. It turns out they're following a stacking which is out of control, and Roy can see purple mist floating around it. And while we get an unexpected highlight pretty much immediately as another character ambushes Roy, declaring Roy can't run from him and how he'll be the one to get Rayquaza. And what I absolutely love is the dynamic that Roy has with his kid. His name's Ult. He's Roy's self-declared rival, and you can kind of tell that Roy doesn't take it as serious as he's a bit dismayed as Ult showing up and he walks off mid-Ult speech. Ult follows of course, and Roy tells him he's got to worry about stacking instead of Rayquaza at the moment. I love how Roy pushes buttons by saying if Ult doesn't care about it, then leave, which gets Ult to stay, and eventually Roy relents to let him stay. There's such a great dynamic off the get-go, but it feels like it really reflects that Ult has become like Roy's previous self, who's more energetic and headstrong, while Roy is now more matured and not so single-minded on his goal. I also have to mention that Ult's Pokemon is Sableye, which is the coolest little gremlin ever. Sableye messes with the sleeping stacking as they find it, and it starts attacking, so the boys battle back. Immediately we see that Roy is taking command of Cap, which feels surreal to see. Also a Crocodile joining the fray, getting thrown into the air, and Killer Ritual comes in for the clutch to save. Where we find out that it's learned Electric Ball as it fires it off alongside Crocodile's flamethrower, also joined by Sableye's Power Gem. There's a lot of damage being done in this stacking rampage. I love that Roy acknowledges the Pokemon choice are being disrupted by the power on display, getting Crocodile and Killer Watchful to help, but as Roy's in awe of that power, we get another display of why giving Roy a rival is excellent, as Ult tells Roy to stop complaining and get fighting, lighting the fire in Roy, saying he wouldn't run away as he sends out his newest Pokemon, Lucario. So it's pretty exciting as he and Ult immediately team up, activating Mega Evolution, and getting a little meta for a second, it's really great hearing Roy's voice actress getting to Mega Evolve Lucario, continuing to voice Karina too. It's just top notch, and I also really like Mega Sableye, so seeing that getting a big role, I'm all for it. I actually think that Roy and Ult might have my favourite Mega Evolution animations out of the whole anime, though Alarm definitely makes some strong points too. Cap and Lucario pummel stacking with some physical moves while Sableye sneaks in and hits it in the back, until Hyper Beam catches them off guard. I love that Mega Evolution wasn't a win battle button, and that Rayquaza is shown to really have that next level of power, and that allows some smart play like Sableye absorbing Hyper Beam while Lucario rushes in with a close combat, letting Sableye have a tricky move like Confuse Ray, that lets Cap go in with a Volt Tackle to finish a battle. It's really insane to hear Roy show up that, by the way. Roy is able to report back to Dot as she tells us that she's been getting tips from fans as Nido thing, which that whole part of her character kind of fell to a wayside for a bit, so I'm glad that's back too. The fact that she's talking to help with her promise to Lucius is pretty awesome. As the night winds down, we get a really cute shot of Roy with his team, as he knows that Rayquaza being around means they still have to go deal with it, and he has to let quote-unquote her know, referring to Liko of course. As he also realises that Ult is still hiding about, Ult demands Roy can't go separate as they both work towards Rayquaza. So they camp together, and Roy leaves early in the morning to Ult's anger, but Roy knows that this is going to be dangerous, so doesn't have a choice but to leave him. And then we're back with Liko in school, and this is where the episode definitely slows down, which is definitely fine. Liko seems more considerate of Van and how she's progressed in a year, becoming ace at the school and getting invited to Blueberry Academy, which is pretty exciting that you might get to explore that later on. As we take an evening, we get to find out Terraco's sustained its Pokeball since Rakua, which is a big mystery, but the eventual rise on top Volt Tackles is definitely something that Liko's been thinking about. The purpose of the next day is to show how Liko is feeling, which I kind of appreciate, as she feels like she's stagnating while Anne's making progress towards her dream of competing in the Pokemon League. It also establishes a public sentiment about rising Volt Tackle and how events that Rakua had apparently released a substance which made Pokemon go berserk around the world, reaching as far as Holland, which puts Kanto at risk. So understandably, students think that rising Volt Tackles are bad dudes, contributing to Liko being upset. Liko has a big think about things on the school roof, and then with a "found you from the skies," Roy scoops in on Killer Watchful, jumping down to see Liko, which is where we end episode 90. And what an amazing way to end after all that, because it's a direct callback to Free's meeting with Liko. It's a wonderful full circle moment from the start of the new year. It's just an incredible start, really establishing where our two characters are and how they've changed in that year-long gap. I always say I am biased to Roy, so him getting the more action-packed up part, and where we see he has seemingly made more progress with 2 more Pokemon, a new gimmick, a new rival, is pretty based. But I don't really think that's to Liko's detriment either. Next episode definitely explores her a lot more, and I think when you really compare how Liko and Roy were before they joined the Rise and Volt Tackles and how they are as people, seeing how they continue after they disband feels very natural for their characters. Ult really was an unexpected highlight. Like, this late in the game you're introducing a new character, especially as a rival, you're going to have a tough time. Especially with characters as well fleshed out as Roy, Liko and Dot. but also that Ginger always rolled perfectly, reflecting Roy's whole attitude was just a perfect way to do it. Roy had his immature moments, especially when it came to Rayquaza, that was tempered by characters like Freed, and now Roy's kind of been thrust into that role similar to Freed, even back down to having like Freed's partner Pokemon alongside him. How Roy and Alt will interact going further into this series is just such an interesting prospect to me. And we also got the perfect view for more globetrotting here as the Rakurian is reaching across the world, which I do hope we lean into a bit more now. All in all, to begin this arc, this is a pretty top-notch start. But episode 90 was a two-parter alongside 91, so let's talk about it. As Roy absolutely shatters his legs, landing leading to a pretty wholesome reunion. For some reason they decided to go with some shipping bait, as a group of girls see Roy coming out of nowhere, saying he had to meet Liko and Eunice tell something important. The girls are absolutely shipping it, as they know each other and that Liko knew him. Liko of course gets what they think, but they have Roy being dense too. Even Anne shows up and says how Roy looks cool. I'm glad we can all agree that Roy's new design is the coolest. They all go to get their Pokemon some food, where we fill in Anne on what happened after Rakua, basically to help us understand. So after Rakua they tried to find Freed, because he fell, until Exceed had barred Rakua off. So their only real option was to disband the group and separate, and it really sounds like no one had kept in contact. Roy tells him he was in Kalos, and was speaking a little bit loud about being in Rising Volt Tacklers. Doctor told him about Pokemon well with the mist around it, telling Liko that Rakua is still around. We all go to get Pokemon some food, where we fill in Anne on what happened after Rakua, basically to help us understand. So after Rakua, they did try their best to find Freed until Exceed had barred Rakua off, so their only real option is to disband the group and separate, and it really sounds like no one had kept in contact. Roy tells him he was in Kalos and was speaking a little loud about being in Rising Volt Tacklers. Dot had told him about the Pokemon with a pink mist around them, telling Liko that Rakurian is still about. But of course, Liko and Terapagos can't really help out Roy there because Terapagos is still in its Pokeball, and while Roy takes it okay, Meowscarada doesn't and runs off. Anne comes back and ends up battling Roy, and this is where he unveils Lucario as it wasn't eating. Facing off Anne's Samurott, and while Anne's got some pretty good moves, playing Razor Shell and Drill Run, Lucario can fend it off. Meanwhile, Liko's looking around for Meowscarada, overlooking the battle where Liko sees Roy's new Pokemon, again kind of comments how others are making progress and growing, and she's really not feeling like she's making any growth at all on the same level as them. The kids of the school have also realised that Roy is a Rising Volt Tackler too, not taking that too well. Anyway, as Lucario defends, Roy and Lucario use their aura together to put Samurott in a pack as they dodge Samurott and get a big close combat in, winning the match pretty low effort even without unveiling Mega Evolution 2. We're quite excited to get a Roy and Liko rematch in this episode 2, and considering our last battle was a strong contender for best episode in the series, you know this will be good. And okay, while it definitely isn't as good as that, we get to see that Liko definitely has still made progress in that year, being able to make great use of Meowscarada's unique ability, summoning multiple flower tricks to catch Crocodile off guard. And Meowscarada does good in being able to take some of the super effective hits as well, which can definitely be problematic. It's a battle that certainly feels like it can go either way, as Roy's also fighting strategically and he's able to trap flower trick with Crocodile's Starling Voice. Or really both of them get fully synced with their partner Pokemon. It's really wonderful watching bits that call back to their previous growth too, like when Roy learns to watch a battlefield with Brassius. He does that here, seeing that Meowscarada's Florida was gone after Crocodile had been dangled in the air, but opened up an opportunity for Meowscarada to attack too. And it's Roy's motivating her, saying they've both gotten stronger and they've both powered up, that helps Liko realise, you know what, she actually has. Sometimes growth isn't the most visible thing, but every bit of progress you're making towards it is still growth, and Liko is definitely being harsh on herself. And it's finally time for a big finale as they're both terrestrialized, and man, Roy being the first trainer with Terra and Mega just makes him feel so damn cool. Meowscarada can't really stop the approach of Flame Charge though, as Crocodile takes Meowscarada down and wins. I feel like the result of this match didn't really matter, it's to reaffirm that they're both still growing. The school kids start grilling Roy about being Rising Volt Tackler, which he happily admits to, and they ask Liko too since, she knew Roy, so she reveals that she was one, and proudly with a big smile on her face, tells the story. After she gets ready, grabbing Terapagos' Pokeball, as Roy and Anne talk about Liko and how for the year, Liko really had that aspect of her life hidden and bottled up her concerns away. And now that she's able to say out loud, she's back to her usual self, quite happily, eager to get back with truth over Rising Volt Tacklers, which is the theme of this arc, as we cut to the opening Get Back, which is a certified banger. Just again, this is an awesome episode. Episode 90 is probably better, but this one focuses a lot on getting Liko's confidence back so she can join Roy in his adventure, which is a pretty great time. As we got to go speak highly of the introduction of this arc, because it really does feel like a whole new beginning. Of course we know these characters, of course they're established, but a year is a long time and it's changing the status quo. There are no Rising Volt Tacklers as a group. How will Liko, Roy and Dot approach this new world? It's such an interesting premise, and really both episodes did such a perfect job of getting us prepared for it alongside the characters. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I do need to say, Work has been very hectic at the moment. I've been pulling 6-day weeks, so I know I'm getting behind on the reviews, and that's really like upsetting because I love episode 90, I love episode 91, I love episode 92, and I haven't seen episode 93 yet, and that's like that was like a good few days ago. I think we're close to episode 94 airing. I still haven't seen 93, but yeah. So thank you for bearing me with the reviews. I'll try and have the next ones coming up soon, but yeah. Thanks for watching.